I'm going to get it done, whatever it takes. Starting when their alarm goes off first thing in the morning, they negotiate that they don't want to get out of bed, or they negotiate that they want 5 more minutes. I can tell you right now that your reality can be tenfold of anything that you can think or comprehend if you learn how to put all the information into utilization on a day-to-day basis. Gentlemen, this is vital if you want growth as a man, to follow through on your word, to stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't stand up for what you believe in, you'll fall for anything. Hello, champions. My name is AJ Sims. Welcome to the Kingdom Build podcast. And today we're going to be talking about how you can absolutely crush your goals that you've set for yourself, how to step up as a man and build mental resiliency. Thank you guys for joining. Like I said, my name is AJ Sims. If you're joining for the first time, please subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can always be notified for my next video that's going to be dropping consistently and constantly, bringing you guys content, things you want to know, see and hear, and fully dive deep into your understanding. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about, as a man, how we can be intentional when we set the goals that we do for ourselves, how we crush those goals, how we give everything that we can to build up that mental resiliency, regardless if you're starting from the ground up. So one of the biggest factors in setting mental resiliency is not negotiate with yourself. When you have set a goal ahead of yourself, in the beginning, you obviously have the neuromodulator of dopamine, right? You have that gung-ho attitude, for lack of better terms. I'm going to get it done, whatever it takes. I'm sure you guys listening have all felt that at one time in some shape, form, and fashion. However, only to find out 1 week later, 2 weeks later, or a month or two later, all those good feelings of motivation and dopamine have severely decreased because life has punched you in the face, and you got to learn how to punch it right back. Life's never going to stop for you to achieve your goals. Life is never going to stop coming at you when you're trying to pursue something great, when you're trying to be as optimal in every aspect of your life. So understand that there's never a perfect time or a season if you've set a goal. There's going to be hard days, weeks, and months. That is what it takes. Understanding that first and foremost, and then not negotiating with yourself when that happens. It's one of the biggest issues people have, is they negotiate with themselves on a consistent basis. Starting when their alarm goes off first thing in the morning, they negotiate that they don't want to get out of bed, or they negotiate that they want 5 more minutes, or they negotiate that it's just too warm and comfortable. Therefore, I'm just going to lay in here a little bit longer, or I'm going to pick up my phone, get the instant hit of dopamine and gratification and satisfaction by scrolling aimlessly through social media. And again, you have now negotiated with yourself, and now you have failed at the first task at hand. You made yourself a promise by setting that alarm, and you've already broken your first promise. I can tell you one thing, that is the quickest way to hit failure than you'll ever understand. So mental resiliency starts with the first promise that you've set for yourself in the morning. When that alarm goes off, or when you open your eyes, it's time to get up and get out of bed. One of the biggest things you can do, and I still do it to this day, is 20 to 25 push-ups to fire up that central nervous system, stimulate it, and get it rolling. Another thing I go straight into is making my bed. It's important that I set the tone and the pace and the standard to make the bed, regardless of if you have a stressful day, which you probably will many times. Your bed is made when you come home and everything is clean and organized. One less thing that you need to have to worry about. Plus, if you have kids, if you have a wife, you are setting the standard and the pace of your home by being that example of setting up your home and taking care of your home the way that it should be, and being a considerable man and doing what you need to do around your home to play the biggest part of the team as the spiritual leader. So negotiation with yourself not to get up out of bed, negotiating with yourself not to work out when you don't feel like it, negotiating with yourself that you really want to eat that food that your coworkers, your family, your friends are eating, and your goals can be put on hold because that food is just too good to pass up. There's just no way in the social setting that you're going to want to explain to those around you why you're eating the way you're eating, because making sure that you're appeasing them and eating what they're eating is much more valid and important than your goals. These are all negotiations that we as men can make with ourselves each and every day. And this will hinder us completely from reaching those said goals. And the more you negotiate with yourself, the further you have now pushed yourself away from actually obtaining what you told yourself that you wanted in the first place. So, setting your mind on mental resiliency, which means no matter what's going to happen in my day, I'm process driven. I'm going to get it done regardless. So you start with those habits, making the bed, waking up, getting moving, regardless if you feel like it or not. If you have a time crunch and your only opportunity to work out is first thing in the morning, it does not matter if you feel like it or not. You don't negotiate with yourself. You get your body moving. And not only is it going to pay off in dividends in the form of cognition, so your cognitive function is going to be higher, dopamine being released, noradrenaline, all the neuromodulators, all the neurotransmitters, the feel good stuff is going to be flowing out of you for the next 4 to 6 to 8 hours, helping you in every area of your life. You've also had a de-stressor and a time of solitude to yourself that is truly needed to get your day started right. So, a mental resiliency comes in the form of, again, not negotiating with yourself and doing the hard stuff that's necessary on a day to day basis, whether you feel like it or not. When it comes down to dietary adherence, whether you want to eat that cake or that donut or that cookie, or you want to have that spoon of peanut butter, your goals are more important. Food is not going anywhere. That burger is not going to get naturally grow legs eventually and run off from you and you'll never see it again. It'll come back. It'll always be there. I promise you. But your goals, there's only a time and a place and a season that you can obtain these said goals. And the time is right now. The time is now, to quote the great John Cena. And your time can be now if you stop negotiating with yourself and you absolutely make up your mind today. I'm setting my standard higher than ever, and no one's ever going to deter me from that standard. I'm going to meet these goals. I'm going to obtain these goals, whether it be fat loss, muscle gain, increasing your business revenue, being a better father, a husband, which all these things can work synergistically together. By the way, you do not have to lose the ability to be a husband and a father because you are on a fitness journey. In fact, the fitness journey should only help your relationship with your family. Again, setting the tone and the pace for your family. So, have you negotiated with yourself when you're sitting on the couch and instead of getting up and going, doing a 10-minute, 15-minute walk outside to keep your daily non exercise activity thermogenesis up? You've negotiated to watch a little bit more Netflix. You've negotiated to aimlessly scroll through social media and look at all the other people comparing yourself that are getting it done because, they're obviously perceiving their highlight reel as the reality. Gentlemen, I can tell you right now that your reality can be tenfold of anything that you can think or comprehend if you learn how to put all the information into utilization on a day-to-day basis. You can become a champion and go from an amateur to a pro mindset when you do those things on that day-to-day basis that you definitely don't want to do in the moment. But you're not feelings driven if you're going to be a champion. If you're going to be a professional, you are process driven in all that you do. So stop negotiating with yourself. It's so funny. It's when I have gentlemen come over here and I offer them to get into my ice bath, you can always tell the ones that negotiate on a consistent basis because they will literally negotiate with themselves in front of a bunch of men having a hard time understanding that this is going to be hard and I'm going to do it regardless, or I'm not going to do it and I'm going to lead into failure by simplistically backing out because I've negotiated with myself because of this 30-second, 60-second, 2-minute hard thing. And listen, I'm not negating the fact that it's very hard to get into an ice bath. But I'm telling you right now, something as simplistic as a 1 to 2 minute ice bath will set that trajectory of what you are capable of on a day-to-day basis to learn how to not negotiate. So I tell all my guys, listen, don't even think about it. Just get in there, because then you don't negotiate with yourself. And the second you start negotiating with yourself, you will create self-doubt and anxiety and fear for the future of an outcome that more than likely is not even going to happen, which is why we negotiate with ourselves in the first place. So, again, gentlemen, resiliency will come in the form of not negotiating with yourself and just jumping in on the deep end, for lack of better terms. You have to learn how to get it done, specifically the things you don't want to do on the days you don't want to do them. And why did I say that that will trickle into your life, in your marriage, in the way that you father your children? Because there's probably many times in a marriage that you don't want to serve your wife because you feel she doesn't deserve it. But we know that marriage is not a contract, it's a covenant that God created, that regardless of how you feel, you serve your wife. So if you're already building mental resiliency, not negotiating with yourself, you certainly won't in the heat of an argument or conflict, or in a small tiff, that you will negotiate with yourself that your wife doesn't deserve it, but you will do it because you're not driven by your feelings. You're driven by the long term process of your covenant. You see what I mean? It's the same thing with your children. If your children are having issues, or they are going through a season in their life that is very difficult as a father to navigate, if you have built your mental resiliency in this form, you will be able to father so much better, because the patience to have the resiliency to tend to their heart, to understand what they're going through, to communicate properly, because all the things you did earlier in the day that were very hard, you didn't want to do, led you to be able to do this in a much more loving and present and calm manner, conducting yourself as a real man and not a man built off of just fickle emotions. You see what I mean, gentlemen? We cannot run our lives built off fickle emotions. They come and go. We have to run our lives off the process and building that resiliency to being able to go through the hardships in life and punch back when life tries to punch at us. We're going to know how to knock it out. And of course, being a Christ follower built on the firm foundation, built on a rock and not on a sand, that is where you grab and gravitate everything that you do, because greater is he that's in you than he that is in the world. And just as First John chapter 4 says, just as I am, so also are we. Excuse me. Just as First John chapter 4 says, just as he is, so also are we. We have everything we need for life and godliness, which means we have all the tools to be able to do what we need to do in this life as men, as husbands, as fathers. But gentlemen, it's going to start with you. You have to renew your mind every day and not fall into the patterns of this world, but be transformed by that renewing of your mind. So it's a decision each and every day. It is a decision, but negotiating is not a part of it. It's a decision, meaning there's no option B, there's only option A. This is where I'm going. I'm resilient. I'm a champion. I'm a pro. We're going to get it done, gentlemen, and watch your life take off like you've never seen it before. This is how you crush your goals. Number one, stop negotiating. Stop negotiating. Number two, be process driven in everything that you do, with grit and determination and resiliency in the way that you approach all of the things that you have set before yourself. This way, number three, you will be led into being a better spiritual leader of your home, to your wife and to your children. Gentlemen, this is vital if you want growth as a man, to follow through on your word, to stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't stand up for what you believe in, you'll fall for anything. Trust me when I tell you that. It starts with your mental resiliency, built on the firm foundation and understanding that God, your creator, has given you everything you need right now. You don't have to ask for it. If you're a born again believer in Christ, he's given it to you. Take it. Understand that you have it and use it on a day-to-day basis. This is a champion mindset. It's not an amateur mindset. This is for the pros. So if you want to step up, gentlemen, which I know you do, because if you're watching this, you're ready to step up. You're looking for the information. I'll give you the information, but I will tell you that you have to put it into practice. You have to make that decision. You have to stop negotiating with yourself and crush your goals.